If you haven't been to this part of the Willamette, hopefully this video will be helpful. It's a basic video tour. We'll take a look at some of the main points of interest along the Portland Harbor Superfund site and talk about some of the issues that are involved with the cleanup. The pollutants found in this stretch of the Willamette River can have a potentially negative impact on human health, principally from the consumption of certain resident fish. So we're going to take a little Willamette trip here. How big is the Superfund site? Well, if this is the Willamette River and that X is the downtown Portland area, we get to River Mile 11 where the Fremont Bridge is, and we continue downstream into the harbor proper, all along the industrial stretch of the Willamette. Then we finally get down to Sylvia Island, and then 2 miles later, the confluence of the Columbia. The Portland Harbor stretch of the Willamette is listed as a federal Superfund site because of the pollutants that can have an impact on human health, specifically from consuming resident fish. There are also threats to native wildlife in this area as well. Now we'll travel around the harbor a little bit and take a look at some of the sites along the Willamette. Willamette Cove is on the east side of the river, just downstream of the railroad bridge. It's owned by the Metro Regional Government, and it's contaminated with lead. Once cleanup occurs, it has great promise for habitat restoration that would benefit the river. Just upstream of Willamette Cove, on the east side of the river, is a Superfund site that was listed prior to the rest of the harbor. This is known as the McCormick and Baxter site. It had extensive groundwater contamination as well as extensive contamination in the nearshore area. The nearshore area was capped, and there was extensive removal of soil from the upland area. To the left of those vessels with the orbs on them, a lagoon continues back about a mile. And panning to the right here, we see Vigor Industrial, formerly known as Cascade General. And they operate a ship repair facility as well as a barge fabrication facility. This view is upstream from the tip of Swan Island, looking toward downtown Portland. You can see the Fremont Bridge there at about River Mile 11. On the east bank there are high concentrations of PCBs. It's about 3 miles from the bridge to the tip of Swan Island. Gives you a sense of how big this area is. The Superfund site extends from about River Mile 11 to about River Mile 2. Got some cliff swallows living off of this end of this pier here. Pretty wild. This site is known as Arkema, and at one time DDT was manufactured here. This was a very detrimental chemical to wildlife, especially peregrine falcons and other birds. And there's a couple of osprey in a tree right there, just off the Arkema site. They have a freshly caught fish, and one of them is consuming that fish. This is why it's important to remember that the Portland Harbor Superfund site is both about the well-being of people as well as the ecological community and all the native species that live in this area. This is the west bank of the river, just downstream of the railroad bridge. The property is owned by Siltronic, and they're located here. So here we are looking at the Gas Cove site, owned by Northwest Natural. There's still work to be done in the upland area and in the water. A few years ago, a very large tar area was removed from the river in the nearshore area. This had significant contamination, it still does. Right now we're on a property that is technically owned by the Port of Portland and leased by Toyota. Several years ago, this riverbank was restored to a significant degree. A lot of native vegetation along with large pieces of wood. And looking to the east, you can see the Toyota facility behind this riparian zone. And going from the facility back toward the river, we're looking northward here. You can see what is in essence a pretty lush area full of a range of native plants. This kind of thing really benefits the Willamette River, and it's representative of what we need more of in Portland Harbor. So one of our major challenges is, what do you do with contaminated sediment once you remove it? That's to me one of the key questions in this cleanup, given that a lot of sediment will be removed from this river. I'm standing right here at the opening of one of the slips at Terminal 4, which has been proposed as a confined disposal facility. This area would be filled with contaminated sediment at some level, as set by the US EPA, and separated from the river by a massive berm which would connect the two sides of this channel opening. Over time, the area within the slip would be filled up and would eventually become usable for some upland purpose. As we work our way downriver on the east side, we have the Schnitzer facility here, which Utilizes a lot of scrap metal. This is also a site that has contamination off the shoreline here. Another opportunity for some level of restoration. And here we have the Oregon Steel facility. There's some level of contamination off the shoreline here as well. So we have a variety of sites here on the Willamette, stretching from near downtown Portland all the way down to near where the Willamette meets the Columbia River. Most of these sites have some levels of PCBs, heavy metals, oil-based products, and in the case of Arkema, just across the river here, Arkema is highly polluted with the breakdown products of DDT, which was once manufactured on that site. With this Superfund site, we have a very unique opportunity to get the Willamette cleaned up for the long term. Let's love this river and show your love for this river by helping us and a host of community organizations, in addition to the US EPA and the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality, to get this river cleaned up.